Alright guys, so thanks for the response to the last video. It seems like the most requested topic so far is for me to just do a general overview of EO, edge orientation, which I think is a great place to start because it's pretty fundamental to most of fewest moves, and I actually think that beyond anything else, learning how to do edge orientation well will improve your fewest moves results the most. And there are a few tricks to it. I'm a ZZ user, so I've been doing edge orientation for probably 100,000 solves or so now, and I basically do it every single time. So I can analyze a cube and find the EO for any particular orientation in like 3 seconds and know the optimal way to solve it, or at least one of the optimal ways. Usually there are a few different optimal ways to solve any case, and just going back and forth between those and trying them all out is super important. So this is just going to be about how to recognize EO, not really about how to solve EO, which I'll get into in another episode. I guess these are episodes now. I don't know. It's not really that formal. But hey, so anyway, this is about how to recognize what edges are bad and stuff like that, and do that very quickly. I think the next video I'm going to make is how to, I don't know, basically I think the most useful thing I could do is probably give a ton of examples. But anyway, this is how to recognize edge orientation from every different orientation you can hold the cube and how to do it quickly. Although, to be honest, the real secret is just to practice. I can do it faster than I think almost literally anyone else, or at least anyone who doesn't use ZZ. And that's just because I've done it a ton of times. So if you want the real answer, you get good at EO by switching to ZZ. So if you don't, actually, honestly, while I'm talking about it, if you don't care that much about 3x3, because I think ZZ is a little bit worse than Ru or CFOP, not a lot worse though, to be honest, but I think it is a little bit worse, maybe just a little bit. But if you don't really care about 3x3 as much, you just want to get really into fewest moves, and you want to get really good at fewest moves, switching to ZZ is actually, as far as things you can do that aren't practicing fewest moves that will help you improve at fewest moves, switching to ZZ is probably the best thing you can do. But that's unrealistic to expect people to actually do that. But anyway, here's how you recognize EO. I know there are other tutorials about this for ZZ method and stuff, but I'm just going to show you real quick because I think it's fairly simple. It's just a matter of practicing it. All right, so I'm using the same scramble here as the last video, so, I'll put it on the screen again. Anyway, so for recognizing EO, the first thing you got to know is that there are 3 EOs for any case. Edge orientation is defined based on the front color you're using, well, front and back. So this blue front is the same as green front, and it doesn't matter what kind of Z rotation you're doing, right? This is the orientation I first learned, so I'm going to teach you this first. Edge orientation is defined as the cube, or the edge being able to be solved. It's a good edge, quote unquote, or an oriented edge, if it can be solved with some combination of U, R, L, and D moves, and you don't need to do any front or back moves. Now, when an edge is oriented, doing an F2 or a B2 doesn't actually change its orientation. So just keep that in mind. So basically, once you have all your edges oriented, you'll be restricted to the moveset of R, U, L, D, F2, B2. So you can do anything on those R, U, L, D, but on front and back, you can only do F2 and B2. Of course, you can also break EO, but that's a much more advanced thing. So that's a topic for another episode. So how to recognize EO? For one thing, you can just trace it. So for instance, I can see that this piece can be solved with an R prime. So obviously, that's an oriented edge from this orientation. From here, I would require an F prime to solve it, so it's not. So this is an oriented edge with blue front, but not with red front. But it takes a while if you want to go through and trace every single piece to see if it can be done. Instead, you can use some shortcuts based on what colors you see. So to start, we're going to look at the top, the bottom, the front, and the back. Okay, so ignoring the right and left, and that's going to be the same for all of these. So when you look at the top, first of all, anything, assuming you have a normal color scheme, I'm just going to give you the tricks for that. If you have something else, you'll have to figure it out for yourself. So anyway, if you're looking at blue front, yellow top. And again, the edge orientation doesn't change if you do a Z rotation like this, but I don't know how to recognize it like this. Well, I could. It would just take me a little longer. But like this is what I know all the tricks for. So if you have yellow top, white bottom, or white top, yellow bottom, it's the exact same. If you have any yellow or white edges, those are oriented. So I know right away that these are all oriented. If you have any, so we would call yellow and white are good colors, and same on front and back. So these are also oriented because they have yellow on front. Or actually, it's not the whole front face. It's just these 2 spots and these 2 in the back. So the top face, the bottom face, and then as far as the E layer, looking at those two. So don't actually look at these. You're not going to get any information from those two stickers, just these two. So first of all, you look for white and yellow. That means it's all good. You can ignore those. Those are all good edges. So I know that those are good, those are good, those are good. Then I look at what I call the bad colors, so that I can instantly recognize some bad edges. For blue front, yellow top, bad is red and orange. So this is bad, and this is bad. So I've got 3 bad edges, for sure. And then the other color is sort of neutral. It can be good or bad, and you have to look at the other color on the piece, and that's green and blue. So it's whatever your front color is. So this green edge is neutral. I'm gonna look at the other color. If it's neutral plus bad, that's actually good. It's a little bit hard to think about. It's easier to just kind of learn this by memorization, but the way it works is neutral plus bad means it's good, so that's a good edge. Let's see, where's another one? This one down here, neutral plus good, so our neutral color plus our good color, that actually makes it bad. So what we end up with is a case with 4 bad edges, here, 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 and here. So I'm just going to go run through that all again one more time, just in case you missed it. So good colors are white and yellow, so yellow, those are all good. Those 2 are good, and that one's good, because those all have white and yellow on the places I told you to look at. Bad colors, orange and red, so bad, bad, bad. And then neutral colors are green and blue. So that one's neutral, but it happens to be good because it has red on it. And then that one's neutral, but it happens to be bad because it has the white on it. So technically there are only good and bad edges. I use the term neutral to refer to an edge that you have to actually look at the other color of. So for all of the white and yellow ones, I only had to look at that one color and completely could ignore that color. But for the neutral ones, you have to actually look at what the other color is. So anyway, I'm going to put that on the screen somewhere here. We got good yellow is white yellow, neutral is blue green, and bad is orange red. So in a general form of that is your top color is always good, your front color is always neutral, and your left or right color is always bad. And of course opposites. So let's go switch to the next orientation. We got this red front, yellow top. Again, this is also something I use for ZZ, so I'm very good at recognizing it. In this case, it's going to be the same, where you have the same good color because you have the same top, and then your neutral and bad colors are just switched. So this is bad because it's got blue. This is neutral because it's got red, but it's actually bad because it's got our top color, and so on and so forth. So just to quickly check for all the bad edges on here, looking at the bottom, we've got good, good, neutral, but it's good because that color is on that side, and then bad, so one bad edge. Here we have neutral, but it's bad, 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 because it's just got the bad color, and neutral, but also bad. So a lot of bad. All of our E layer edges are bad. And then on the top here, we have good, good, bad, and neutral, but this one happens to be good because it shares the other color as the bad color. So what we end up with is 6 bad edges. And then lastly, for white front, I hold it like this because it's just like an X prime away from scrambling orientation. So right here, I use blue top, white front, or red and orange are the other colors. And I like this because since this is the angle I'm most comfortable with blue front, this makes it so that it has the same bad colors, so it shares a bad color with that. And then my good color is actually blue, and neutral color is white yellow. So just to quickly go over this, we've got good, good. Those are both neutral, and they both happen to be good because the other color is the left-right color. So we got all good on top. Then we've got 2 more neutrals here. This one happens to be good. You can actually tell because it's just solved. This one is bad because it's got the good color on it, so neutral plus bad equals good. This one is neutral but good. Once again, you have that color. This one is just straight up bad, so we've got 2 bad edges so far. On the bottom here we have neutral, but this is neutral bad, or neutral good, which makes it bad. Then we've got bad, bad, and neutral, that is also bad. So we have 6 bad edges again. We have the entire bottom layer here, and then these 2 in the E layer. So now, you know how to recognize EO, and that is the fast way to do it. There's not really a good way to improve on that. I would just recommend that, like, no matter what is going on in your solve, like say you have a 2x2x2 built. Ooh, what am I doing? Okay, so you got this 2x2x2 built, and you want to recognize blue for an EO. Well, obviously you'd hold it like this because this is the orientation you're used to. If you want to recognize orange, you could hold it like this. If you want to recognize white, you could hold it like this. So I wouldn't try to recognize white from this orientation because that has that changes your neutral and bad colors. It doesn't actually change which edges are neutral and bad, just changes like how quickly you can recognize them. So I would always orient yourself to those reference points, and that'll allow you to do it a lot more quickly. Even if you have more solved, like if you have a 2x2x3, like it's a little bit awkward to go from here and like try to recognize good and bad because you've got this whole solved block in the front, but you can do a Y2 and do it from here, and that frees up a bunch of space so you can actually see all of the bad edges and still try to recognize them. Like I wouldn't try to recognize it like this. That's just a general thing. If you have your EO, or if you have a reference orientation, I would always try to recognize from that reference orientation, even if you have something weird like if you got an F12-1 built. Like no matter what blocks are in the way, I'd always try to recognize it like that. So as far as actually how to solve EO, it's really simple, and this is again something you can only get better at with practice, although I will be showing you some examples, so in a future episode, not right now. You just gather all of the bad edges to the front, so that requires being able to track them. I chose this scramble because it actually has 4 of them, which is the easiest number to track, although not always the easiest number to solve. So in this case, we've already gone over, we got here, so these 2 on the bottom, 1 in the back right, and 1 in the upper left. So how do we gather these all onto, you want to gather them all onto the front or the back face. So we're going to start, I noticed these 2 on the back face, so I'm actually just going to rotate over to there, keep track of where they all are. I still put my fingers on bad edges. I don't really need to because I can recognize it without doing it. It's just kind of an old habit that I don't really see a reason to break. And it does help me keep track of them when I'm like rotating and stuff. Anyway, so if we want to we already have these 2 here that are on the front, so these 2 are both good. We want to replace those with bad. This one, super easy to get into place. Just move it right over like that. And remember, when you're moving the bad edges around, you can't do any like front or back turns because that'll make it so that they are no longer, it'll change which edges are good and bad. So we've got those 3 that are bad now. We've got 1 back here, and then there are a few ways I can get this to here. You can go like that. You'll notice not doing any front or back turns. You can do it, you can move this one to here and put that one in this one's spot like that. What have I done? There we go. Okay. Anyway, lots of ways to do that. Lots of different ways to do EO. You can also, like a super fancy thing to do from here would be to do an F prime to, I guess I'm giving you an example now, but anyway, a super fancy thing to do from here would be, you've got these 2 bad edges here, and like I said, doing a front or back, it'll not only make the bad edges good, it'll make the good edges bad. So if we do an F prime, it takes these 2 good edges and makes them bad right here, makes those 2 good, and now I sort of like conceptualize this as having like this layer is free now because I can turn it without affecting any of the other 2 on this face or this other bad edge back here. So now, so we go from 2 bad here to good here to making those 2 bad ones good. So now the good are here and the bads are here. Can move this other bad down onto the face and the other one's just a D2 away. So that's another 4-move way to do this EO. And when it's useful for FMC is when you can do something like this, like I just built this pair. Like originally I did an F move, but then I was like, wait, if I do an F prime, it'll make this pair here. And then, I can like make that into a square, and then all of a sudden I've got like stuff built with EO. And that's why EO is useful. It allows you to have a pretty sexy looking solve too. I say that as I do a massive rotation that I shouldn't need to do. Anyway, that's how you do EO. Like I said, next episode I'm just going to do a ton of examples, so hopefully if you already knew kind of like the concept of EO, that can help you to recognize it better if you've never thought of like the good, bad, neutral edge sort of thing before, which some people haven't. If this video wasn't super helpful to you, hopefully the next one will be. So, see ya. And by the way, I'm definitely going to do like multiple attempts at this video because I think EO is such a hard thing to explain that I'm going to need a few tries to get it right. So I'm going to iterate on this video over time, and I'll probably replace it with a better video in the future. But this is my first attempt. We'll see how it goes.